Do you have any like a pre-match ritual or something that you have to do to flip that switch so when you go through the curtain, SOS is coming to the ring?
Um, yeah. So, because a lot of people notice I do this, I don't really notice, is I'll like I know my match is up and I'll look at the ground and I'll just start breathing. I'll just kind of go like, and then like my face looks like I'm pissed off. So people assume I'm upset automatically by something. And I'm like, no, I'm just getting ready. Because like when I go out there, I look tough. I look angry. Like I look like I'm just ready to just beat the crap out of whoever is in that ring, whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy.
Hey guys, welcome back to another interview here on Toned In Entertainment. Today, I have a special guest because I always have special guests. And joining me here on the show is S.O.S, also known as Save One Soul. How are you doing, SOS?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, how I came across you in the first place, because we're on completely opposite sides of the country. You're on the West
Right,
Coast, I'm on the East Coast, was
right.
a friend of the channel that I've had on here twice, Gypsy Mac. She posts a lot of her matches. I saw you and her throwing it down.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so that's how I came across you. I started following you on Instagram, and I've always been a fan of somebody who can just go in there and just beat the crap out of their opponent. That's
Right.
that's what I love about wrestling, and you are definitely one of those people.
Yeah, thank you. I will say that me and Gypsy spent the whole year last year fighting each other. So I'm glad that you were able to find me through her because I mean I as I've said many times, without her, like I really feel like I wouldn't have progressed the way I did because a lot of our matches, like we have this competition of one-upping each other. So so it definitely like benefited both of us to kind of like grow and learn as professional wrestlers with each other because promoters like seeing us fight each other like on in the Southwest. So
It seems to be one of those things, no matter what, like I see a lot of times, no matter what territory you're in, right? Like once they find somebody that has chemistry with somebody, promoters seem to book you with the same person quite often. Is that what just naturally happens, or is it because maybe there's only like two women on the card and that's why you two ladies get thrown together so often?
I think it was a mixture of both because I know when we first wrestled each other, it was at a new promotion that was in Tucson at the time. That's where I first met her, and we were in a five-way. And then, like the week after or 2 weeks after, we were wrestling at a different company, but one on one. And then I think the promoters just saw like how good we were together, that like it just happened like pretty practically everywhere because we went from like a few times in Arizona to Colorado to Texas. Like it was like to a point where we were just like, oh hey, I'll see you next week. so so I mean, I we kind of both love it. Now we're at the point where we haven't wrestled each other since I think December, which has been kind of like nice to have a little break. I don't know when we're gonna end up wrestling each other again. But yeah, I feel like it was a mixture of both where they were like, oh, we only have you two, or they'll be like, hey, like we have you, but we don't have another female right now. Do you have somebody to recommend? And I will recommend her or vice versa. And that's what ends up happening. And then it just kind of like ends up being money because then it's me and her wrestling each other again.
Now
So
you okay, now you talked about you two one upping each other. Are you like a competitive person by nature?
not really, which is very weird for this kind of business because like you have to be competitive. But I'm a person that's like I could be a little bit, but I there's a limit to me where I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to be that competitive. But with her, like I don't know why, but we just kept one upping each other without like really wanting to or meaning to. But we're like, yeah, no, I'm good. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and just be like, okay, making the match better than the last one, and leaving everything out and trying new things against each other and everything. So
Now, last week we were actually scheduled to do this interview, but of course, life gets in the way and we had
yes.
to reschedule everything.
Yeah.
I know you were flying out, I had obligations to do.
Yep.
So how do you handle such like a busy schedule now with wrestling and real life and just trying to keep everything in order?
Honestly, I kind of take it day by day, but a lot of it has to do with like having a calendar, having all my things scheduled out, and then also just kind of it's kind of like the same thing with, real life work life balance. Because there are times where like I'm booked every weekend, but then there's a time where I'm like, okay, if that's the case, my weekdays I need to just rest or do something not as crazy. My Monday and Wednesdays, unlike a lot of wrestlers, I still train because I feel like even though I'm good with the toolbox that I have with everything I can do, I still want to tweak it to be perfect. But also I want to learn new things so then when I face someone new, I'm able to kind of work with what they can work, and be kind of like one of the best competitors that I can be. So I usually have my Mondays and Wednesdays afternoons like full with wrestling, with training, and then my weekends I'm wrestling somewhere, whether it's in state in Arizona or I'm traveling or flying out somewhere else. Um, but outside of all of that, I just try and make time to just keep that real life because I know with this business, we're just busy with just wrestling, but we also have to remind ourselves like we are humans too. It's okay to take a break and it's okay to have fun somewhere else outside of wrestling. And I know in the beginning it was so hard for me because I was like, no, I need to wrestle all the time, all the time. But now I'm just like, no, I need to take a break like once. For once, I need to take a break. So it's now I've gotten the balance, but I know before it was hard because I wasn't able to catch up in time. So
No, I believe I saw a video on your Instagram. I think it was last week, and it was just like traveling across a bridge or whatever. And you put a video up,
oh
and
yeah.
you put just kind of like, I can't believe I get to do this, or I'm just enjoying life so much. Like just being able to travel, see new places, and get paid and beat the crap out of somebody while you're doing it. I mean, is
Yeah.
this living the dream?
Yeah, 100%. Because that was back when I was in Northern California for full queer, up in Richmond, and I was born in California, but I was born in Pomona, which is in the southern part of Cali. So I've never been up to Northern Cali before, and that was my very first time. So like having that moment, and I got to spend it with family too, which was even more wild. But like as we were going across the bridge, I was talking to my cousin who was driving me, and I was like, I actually get to live like my dream because I get to take the time to visit places I've never visited before. I get to meet people I've never met before who are like either very amazing or they're fans that just like are so happy and excited to see someone like me in the wrestling ring. And just like be able to kind of enjoy the city culture because I've never been up to Richmond or to Oakland or San Fran, or anything like that. But I got to meet a bunch of people like within the show. I got to meet Christina Von Erie at the Richmond show, which I've followed her career for a while I was training, while I was still a wrestling fan. So it was like a big deal to me. But like to kind of have that kind of like milestones in my career, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely living the dream. And like if you had told me 6 years ago when I first started that this was going to be the case, I'd be like, yeah, I don't believe you. So
What would you say has been the biggest challenge along the way?
um traveling by myself because I do that a lot. I don't know if a lot of wrestlers do that. A lot of them that I know, they travel with somebody. I do it a lot by myself because a lot of other wrestlers I do hang around that are my friends are all out of state, and I'm the only one really in Arizona. So it's kind of hard to kind of get people to be like, "Hey, do you want to come travel with me?" Or I have to just be like, "You know what? I'm just going to travel by myself." It can get very boring and very it feels like it's instead of an 8 hour drive, it feels like it's 15. But it's still a lot of fun like to kind of go across like to a different state and stop at different places and just kind of enjoy that area because it's not often that an average person is going to have a road trip and go to those places. Most times we all like fly, or if we're going to a destination, it's usually like we're going straight there and not really stopping. So for me, I like to stop at certain places and just kind of be like, wow, like this is kind of cool. Like, especially truck stops, because I've never been like when I first started traveling, I've never been to truck stops, but like seeing the truck stops and seeing like all the stuff that they have, even have showers. And I was like, thank God. because after a show I'm like booking it back home, but then I realize I have to take a shower. I could go take a shower while I'm like on the way home. So like kind of learning that kind of stuff, it's challenging, but in the long run it's rewarding because as we could see, like I'm traveling to Texas, to Colorado, to Vegas, to Cali, and now it's like I'm now kind of used to the training, the traveling and all that stuff, but it's still one of my challenges, I would say.
Now I've seen those showers at truck stops, like
Yeah.
Love's gas stations and stuff.
Yep.
I've never been brave enough to go inside of one, but you have?
Yes, I've been in it a couple of times. It's weird, but like I had told myself I need to because I cannot sit in a car for 8 hours with myself smelling. And the second time I did, I was with somebody and we both had wrestled, and I was like, nah, we both have to take showers because like we don't want this car to smell. And it was my car, so I was like, I don't want to end up having to go take it to get it cleaned. Like I already kind of have to on the outside because when you're traveling, everything hits your car. So I'm like, it's either we're gonna take care of ourselves on the way there. It's fine. So
Where would you say is like the coolest place that you've had the opportunity to wrestle? Like one venue maybe or something that
uh
really stands out, or an event or promotion?
hmm. I would say the one that I have always said is really cool every time I go, and I was supposed to go this weekend for Motivate Pro Wrestling. It's the Borger Dome. So in Borger, Texas, there's a company called Motivate Pro Wrestling. They started in January. I'm actually their first women's champ. Um, they have it's literally just this dome, and you can have like 50, 100, 200 people, but the way that it's made, it echoes, so it sounds like there's more than that. And like the fans there are also really cool because they're not 100% avid wrestling fans, but we managed to turn them into wrestling fans. But like the venue itself, it's so nice. It's one of my few venues that I actually have a women's locker room, so we get to separate so that we can actually change in a locker room instead of just having to go to the bathroom where the guys have to vacate so then the ladies can have their moment. But like it's so nice, and the promoter always makes sure we're okay and everything. And I'm just the kind of wrestler that when I get there, I try and help out when I can. And like the chairs are already there, we just have to move them. And the guy that runs that helps runs the place, like he's there too, and he's been amazing, and he loves us there. So I'm like, hey, as long as you want us here, we'll keep being there. So
Is it like one of those places I just because of the sound inside it really brings maybe like a higher energy level to the matches?
yeah, I would say so, especially, yeah. I am used to places that don't have that echo, but then we still have like 15, 20 people. Um, there is a match that me and Gypsy talk about every now and then for Native Ways where we had a audience of 10, of like 510, which was very small, but we still did our job and everything. So to me, like if there are fans there, it's fine. But like as long as we keep them paying attention to the storytelling and the match and everything, like they could still be high intensity, but when you have like a dome like that and it echoes, it just sounds like it's more. And it almost feels like they get behind it more when they hear themselves like sound louder, if that makes sense.
It does because I think then they get hyped up a little bit more, and
Yes.
it's just like anything. Like you, as a fan, that I go to a lot of indie shows as well. Like when the crowd is hyped, like you get more hyped with them, but when the crowd is dead, you
Yeah.
kind of like lay
Yeah,
back
you're kind
down
of
and
like, oh,
you
okay,
know as
well, how
well
are we
too.
gonna, and then we have to like pull you guys back in, and then it kind
Right.
of kind of works out.
Yeah. Like obviously performing in front, I mean, this goes for all independent wrestlers, but obviously performing in front of hundreds of people is awesome. Is it difficult? Is it a challenge when there's, like you said, only 10 or 15 people in a crowd?
I think if like if it's a wrestler that's just starting, it feels like it is. Because we're expecting like 100, 200 people. But when we see less than that, it kind of I've had to talk to actually a wrestler about this because they were just starting and they were like, "Oh, we only have like 20, 25 people." And I'm like, "Well, like that's enough. Like that's something to start something because I mean, we all have to start somewhere. And if anything, like what that means to us is when we get those 20-25 people at the end, as long as they are like, hey, I want to come back, we make sure they bring their friends or something. Um, but like if you had told me when I first started, I probably would have said yes, it's challenging. But to me, it's not as challenging. It just means that we as the wrestlers and also like with the promoter and things like that, that we just have to help promote more and to some degree, which is why like I do my best to throw out the posters whenever I can. And then whenever I have whenever I have the match, I try and do highlight videos or just like little reels to send out to just put it on social media because that's where everybody is paying attention to. And then when people are like, oh, this is in my city, then they can really tap in the fact that wrestling's right next to them. They just have to go and see it. It's like the issues because some people expect just WWE, TNA, AEW, but it's like you have it right next door. So it's just a matter of us being as the independent wrestlers to advocate for what we do and say like, hey, we do what they do just right next to you. So
Yeah, I do want to compliment you because I love when people promote themselves. Like to me, like you're an independent contractor, you're trying
yep.
to make something out of this and you believe in yourself. And it kind of discourages me when I see people that have been doing this and they don't promote themselves. They don't promote their matches. I've seen your highlight reel. I was actually watching one of your reels while you were ready to
Oh.
jump on today for the May 19th show that you were doing. And you're
Mhm.
always posting flyers. I mean, the importance of that is I don't think it'd be said enough because us as fans, we want to follow our favorite wrestlers. And if you guys are promoting yourself and believing in yourself, we're gonna show up. We're gonna believe in you. So
Yep.
definitely keep on doing that.
Thank you. I definitely will. And I've been it's good because like I didn't really necessarily learn that when I started wrestling because like when my trainer, he wasn't brought up in this kind of era where social media was around. So when I started coming up, Gypsy's trainer, Gino, I actually like knew him before I met Gypsy, but like when me and him started talking more, he was the one that's like, yeah, keep pushing, promoting yourself, keep promoting yourself because you are your own business. You need to promote yourself. And I've been seeing him post stuff too. And so I started tapping into that as well and being like, I'm gonna keep doing that. How do I make this better? How do I make this better? And every now and then, like I'll reach out to him and be like, hey, I need your feedback on this, and this. So then I could keep promoting myself because I know promoting myself not only gets fans in, but it also brings promotions to pay attention as well. Because some of them found me through the fact that I've been promoting.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because I mean, I like I said, like I found your matches through Gypsy, and then I saw your Instagram and I saw you promoting yourself, which hence makes me want to reach out. You know, if I come across somebody's IG or Facebook or whatever, and then I
right,
see their matches and I really like what they did, but there's zero promotion whatsoever for them, am I
right,
going to take another step? So just keep on doing that as a fan and as somebody who loves the industry. You know, keep on promoting yourself, no matter if it's 20 people that love it or
right,
5,000 people. You know,
right,
more and more people are
exactly,
going to jump onto it.
right.
Now, who would you say you've had maybe the most matches with so far?
Gypsy.
Was it with Gypsy? Okay. Is there
Yeah, it's with
somebody?
Gypsy.
Okay. I figured. Okay. I figured that. Is there somebody who you think you've had the best matches with so far
um,
or the best match that you've had so far?
I mean, literally the best match I've had literally has been with Gypsy, but it's the one that we did in February. Um, where we literally brought new moves to each other to the point where we are like, yeah, we're gonna make this one like that was actually really our kind of our final match when we were in Motivate because at that point she moved because she's now living in Vegas. So that match we really were just like, yeah, we're gonna make this one different. Like everybody's seen pretty much everything that we do now. We have to make this different. And we really did. And I don't know exactly what about the match made it just like the best match, but the way it felt, especially when I look back on the MPW's YouTube, like it felt like, yeah, this is one of the matches, especially of this year, that's like my top fave. Um, because we really pulled out everything we could that was like very different from what we usually do, and really brought the fans into it because they were just like, yeah, like SOS is really going to get Gypsy this time. Like she's bringing different stuff down and be like, oh, Gypsy's bringing it out too. Like it really brought those fans like into what we were doing. And I very much like that's my whole thing is storytelling. I'm always about storytelling no matter what. So that's like what I want to do, and that's why I like to make sure the fans are paying attention rather than just being like, oh yeah, this is great, like okay. It's like that's not me. I want to make sure they pay attention, whether it's to me, to the opponent, or at the very least the match and what it means to them, because at the end of the day it's the fans that we want to be doing this for.
It's funny. I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine today who doesn't really know much about wrestling, but knows that I do all this stuff. And he was
Mhm.
asking me something about like, what do I miss in wrestling or whatever? Like, and I was actually saying, especially in the mainstream, like the art of storytelling through the
Mhm.
matches and not just a bunch of matches just thrown out, but like that there is a beginning, a middle, and an end, and maybe a teaser for something else that's to come in the
Yep.
future. And man, I really wish. I mean, I know a lot of indie promotions I follow are really killing it with the storytelling
Yeah.
aspect of that. So I'm hoping that's something that will make it back into our main stream of wrestling. Yeah, I mean, there is storytelling going on, but like legitimately, I'm thinking like Sting and Ric Flair and the
Yeah.
Horsemen and all these guys, like the core, the Stone Colds and the Austins and all that stuff, like the legit storytelling. It's definitely something I miss like in pro wrestling right now.
Yeah, I would say that I have seen it within the independent scene, and I do hope it becomes more active in the mainstream because you can see it's there and it's like right there, but then there's something that it just falls down. And it's like, no, it was right there. But like I know there are some stories that are like they're doing so long term that it feels like it's falling. But then when we see the ending, we're like, oh, okay, that all right, that makes sense. You guys teased us and you messed with us, and now you were like, "Ha, we gave you the ending. Here you go." Um, but like, yeah, I can see definitely in the independent scene, especially with companies I work with, where they're having me do storylines and how we're telling the story through the matches. That like, yeah, they are noticing like, yeah, we need to do storytelling. We don't want to do just spots. It's storytelling. Like we don't care if you want to do those, that's fine, but make sure you tell a story with it. And I trained that way where my trainer's like, yeah, no, no, we're not spot monkeys, is what he says. We're we're professional wrestlers. We need to tell a story. And I'm just like, nope, that's all I do. So
Now you said you've been doing this for 6 years now.
yeah, I've been training for 6, but I've been wrestling for almost 3. Because 3 I
Okay.
think would be in June.
Okay. Have you always gone by SOS since the beginning, or did you
Yeah,
start off? So it's always been SOS since the
yeah, it's
beginning.
always been SOS the whole since the beginning, which is
Okay.
wild because like I know a lot of people have started out with a different name and then they changed it later, but for some reason SOS has always stuck. And my trainer actually is the one that came up with the name. I just came up with the identities within the name. But like I for some reason have not ever wanted to get away from it because for some reason it's SOS fits. I don't and nothing else I've been able to think of like, oh yeah, maybe I do want to change my name to this. It doesn't flow. Like it doesn't fit right with me for some reason. So I just kept up with SOS.
Okay. So when a young SOS went into that training facility 6 years ago for the very first time and looked around and saw everything that was going on, like what went through your head?
Um I was very nervous and then my one of my favorite wrestling best friends who lives in Vegas now. She like came up to me and said hi because at that time it was only 2 girls actually in the training facility, and it was her and one other girl, who's Bryn Thorne, out here in Arizona. She actually trained. I trained with her as well. Um, she said hi because she was so excited, and she did like she was being nice to me in hopes that I would also stay. because it seems like the, with professional wrestling, it's a hard business, and we're taking all these hits and everything. And so I am assuming, like, back then, at least, I was assuming that like people didn't make it after like the first few weeks or something. So I was a little nervous. And then I saw everybody else file back in because I got in a little early. Because like I went out, I like just got off of work and then I drove over to the place and I was there a little early. I got to talk to the owner, and then he like let me go and look and get ready to train, and everybody else started filing in. I got to meet everybody, and then I saw the trainer and we just like went through roles, which at that time I couldn't do a back roll. And I have a story behind that because when I was younger, my brother was trying to teach me and I cracked my neck, and I cracked it so bad that I thought I was paralyzed. So I had that trauma for so long. So he had to teach me to get out of it. Which took like a week or two, surprisingly. But we did all that, and like I got to basically learn the basics of, locking up, taking bumps, things like that within that first couple weeks. And the first couple of weeks, usually with my trainer, is usually determining if we're going to stay or not, because he kind of literally just like throws us into full gear of learning the basics and taking bumps. If we can't take them and it hurts that bad, we're going to leave. Um, but like I stuck through it now, as we could see. But like my first day was pretty much like the basics and just meeting everybody, and just being very nervous. But I was excited because I was like, I'm actually going through with this. I'm actually committed to this. I'm gonna keep going, and then we're gonna see like what the future holds as far as if it's something we're sticking around or not.
Now, what was the deciding factor for you to sign up for that class in the first place? What made you say, I'm going to sign up and I'm going to do this?
So during the summer, the Divas Revolution, where Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky came up with Stephanie, um, that's when I decided I wanted to be a wrestler. Like I already knew when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But then when I got older, I was like, I don't know if I want to do it, because I was like, I just want to be an artist. Maybe I want to go play soccer or something. Because at that time, like I did a bunch of sports. But then that summer, I had just finished college, and I was like, well, I kind of like wrestling. I kind of like the aspect of it. I like the creativity. I like the storytelling. Like I like wrestling. And then that point of the Divas Revolution is where I was really just like, okay, I actually want to do this. And at that time, I was in Colorado because that's where I went to school. And my older sister's like, hey, we're moving to Arizona. Do you want to like come with us so that you don't have to be by yourself in Colorado? And I was like, sure. And then when I moved down here is when I was looking for schools. And at that time, the school I'm with now is the one of the only ones at that time that was around. And that's when I just basically reached out and signed up because I was like, well, I'm going to commit now. I'm already here, already made this step. Let's just kind of put this into gear and just go from there.
Well, you're a much tougher person than I'll ever be. That's for sure. As someone who has watched wrestling since the day, I always tell people the day that my dad brought me home from the hospital, I don't even think he fed me first. I think we sat down on the couch and we were watching WWF or NWA or Florida
Mhm.
Championship or something like that. We were watching, but like as much as I've loved wrestling my entire life, like I've never had the inkling to be like, you know what, I feel like I want to get beat up today, or I
Fair
couldn't
enough.
handle it. That's why I'm on this side of the screen and you're on the other side
Yeah,
of the
no,
screen.
that's fair. That's very fair.
Now, you're training, you're wrestling, you're traveling. Like, is there any time for like leisure activities, vacations? And if so, what are some of the fun stuff that you're doing?
I do have some time where I'm not really doing any wrestling or I'm, working out. Um, Most times I'm like I said, I went to school, so I went to school for visual arts, so I am an artist. So sometimes I'll just sit and draw, and just take that time to just put on headphones, listen to music, and just draw. Um, a lot of other times I'll play video games. I am a PC gamer, and I play on my PlayStation 4 because I don't have a PS5 because when they came out, when I really wanted it, they were shortage, so I didn't really get it. Now I might get it. We'll see. Excuse me. But outside of those, like I kind of just sit and watch videos or movies or TV that I haven't been able to watch because I am at that point where I am one of those wrestlers that just never watch TV. So then when I do have that time, I will binge it. So then I'm like, oh yeah, I have watched this, so then I can actually catch up on everything that everybody else is talking about. Um, and sometimes like other wrestlers in Arizona, I'm still pretty much friends with. I'll reach out to them and we'll see about hanging out if they're not busy and if I'm not busy, so that I actually have some social interaction outside of my roommates. So because my roommates are non-wrestlers and I'll tell them about wrestling stuff and they're all excited for it, but they like know what it is, but not really knows what it is unless I explain it to them. So it's fun. But yeah, like I do some stuff outside of wrestling, but yeah, like as a wrestler, wrestling is my life and nothing else is there. It's like wrestling's first, everything else comes later. So
No, what games are you throwing down? Because like you, like I have a PS4, right, and an Xbox One
Mhm.
still, and I still haven't upgraded to the new systems because when they came out, you just couldn't buy them. And now that they're
Yep,
available, I'm like, well, what's making me go out and buy something new?
yep.
Like, what's enticing me? Like, I don't know why I would spend my money right now to go out and buy a new system because what games are out there? But what games are you throwing down? Are you streaming anything, or are you just playing for fun and having a good time in that little bit of downtime that you do have?
Um, so I used to stream. I'm trying to get back into streaming. I just have to figure out my life. That's the whole thing. Because with the whole traveling wrestling thing, sometimes my days that I have, I'm like, oh, I'm free. I'm actually not free enough to actually stream. But I feel like I finally gotten it down to start streaming pretty much pretty soon. Um, but I play like a lot of shooter games like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Battlefield. Because I grew up with I'm very much a tomboy. So I grew up with my younger brother because me and him are very close in age. So like when he was playing those games, I was playing with him or I was watching him. Play a lot of like role playing games like Skyrim or Mass Effect, things like that. There are times where I'll play like simulation games like Cooking Simulator or things like that, just to kind of like turn my brain off, but also just play a simulation game. Or if I really want to use my brain just to kind of not pay attention to wrestling but do something. I usually play like strategic games, like Civilization and like stuff like that. So then, it's still fun, but it's still something to get my brain thinking that's not like wrestling and whatnot. But yeah, like I play a variety of games. If someone's like, "Hey, I recommend this," I'll probably go try it, and if I enjoy it, I'll keep playing it. If not, I'll be like, "Yeah, I don't like this game," but I mean, it was worth a shot. So
Are there any fun first person shooters out there? Because like my favorite, like the one that I put the most amount of hours was Battlefield 3 back in the
Mhm.
days. Like it was like the game I sunk hundreds, and of course this was before I married, so I
Yeah,
had time to sink hundreds of
right.
not thousands of hours into this game. Is there any like really fun first person shooters that I haven't bought a first person shooter? Overwatch is like the only one that I still kind of play from
Right.
time to time, but like is there anything fun? Am I missing anything in the new Call of Duties or anything like that?
I wouldn't say there's nothing that you're really missing because like the new Call of Duty, like I don't know, the way I was telling one of my friends, it's like I feel like it's just a reskin. Like Call of Duty kind of like it's kind of the same even with certain battlefields as well. Not all of them, but some of them feel like it's a reskin from the last one or like one that they've already done. With Call of Duty, it's done the same thing, which I feel like that's Call of Duty's trademark now is that they just reskin the certain ones that are like that were doing so well, let's do it again kind of thing. So you're not really missing much. I will say the one that I put a lot of hours in was Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I am I was in the rank before it became free and everything. Was Sergeant Master First Class, which was like the second to last rank because I put so much time in it.
Okay.
So like I like that one what like is my fave, but like I touch if I touch it now, I'm usually just like doing matches with bots or I'm playing with my friends. I don't actively play it like competitive like I used to because at that time I did have free time. I was training. So like I didn't wasn't traveling stuff yet. I was just being, during the weekday after work, oh, I'm just gonna train, and then certain days I didn't train, I'm just there playing a game. Like so now I feel like I don't have time to actively be super competitive, but every now and then I'll play with friends, and at that point I'm like a little competitive with them. So
Yeah, I always like when Call of Duty says, "Hey, we've got new maps coming out. You're gonna get Terminal. You're gonna get Nuketown." It's like, yeah,
yeah, you guys already
thanks.
did though.
Like the last 7 Modern Warfares, I got the same map again and
Yep.
again. Thank
Yep.
you for providing it for free since I already
Yeah.
paid for it 5 games ago.
Yeah. And I mean, they know it's working because people are still buying it. That's the thing. That's
They
just the thing.
they wouldn't do it if there wasn't profit in it, right?
Exactly. If there was a profit, they wouldn't do
Right.
it.
Now, what are people missing out if they're not coming to watch SOS wrestle in person?
I feel like they're really missing the actual sight of the charisma and the power that I throw out. Because outside of the ring, I'm not as charismatic as I am in the ring. Um, I'm just a very quiet, calm, very humble, like relaxed person. But when I'm out of the ring, I'm literally just like yelling, screaming, and being violent. Like that's pretty much the opposite of me. But I feel like when they're missing out or they're just watching with videos because they're not able to like be there, or they're just like, oh, you're in a different city, like I can't make it, and they're watching the videos, they're missing that like raw, like real time um like connection. And I feel like that's something that a lot of us professional wrestlers are trying to do with the fans, is like connect with them somehow. And I've had a lot of fans at actual shows that come up to me and they're like, "You are so amazing," blah, blah. Like they would go off like about like the power and all this stuff about me, and I'm like, "Oh, thanks." I guess I don't think about doing this stuff, but I just, I just do it, and like they really feel that connection, and like to me that means everything, because that means I'm doing my job. And I feel like people who don't come see me, or just see me through a picture are like, oh, she's not really anything. That's what they're missing. Um, and I feel like if they gave me a chance, they would be able to kind of see, and actually I can prove to them like, yeah, I can connect. I can help, I can get you to react, I can get you to understand like this is what SOS is as a person and as a wrestler in the ring.
Now, I started up these Zoom interviews back in December because my real main thing here is to go to the shows and do the
Mhm.
interviews there. But obviously, you're out there on the West Coast. I'm here on the East Coast. The likelihood of us running together, other than maybe WrestleMania weekend or something crazy, is
Maybe.
very unlikely. So, like when I go into doing my live interviews, like everybody always tells me I'm super chill, I'm super calm, but then
Mhm.
I have to flip a switch, like
Right.
when it's time to start the interviews.
Yeah.
There's a little prepping sometimes I do to get
Mhm.
ready, maybe a shot of something special or something like that to get going. Do you have any like a pre-match ritual or something that you have to do to flip that switch so when you go through the curtain, SOS is coming to the ring?
Yeah. So, because a lot of people notice I do this, and I don't really notice, is I'll like, I know my match is up, and I'll look at the ground and I'll just start breathing. I'll just kind of go like, and then like my face looks like I'm pissed off. So people assume I'm upset automatically by something. And I'm like, no, I'm just getting ready. Cause like when I go out there, I look tough. I look angry. Like I look like I'm just ready to just beat the crap out of whoever is in that ring, whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy. And that's kind of like my ritual. It doesn't take that long. It's usually just right when I hear the bell from the last match, or if I'm the first match, when I hear like this, the following contest except for one fall, and I know like we're about to go on. That's usually what I do, because it's like putting on a mask. Because the way I kind of explained it to people is like being SOS in the ring is different from being SOS out of the ring, because like we're basically we're two different entities. And so because of that, um I have to like kind of almost take the time to flip that switch. And sometimes it happens quick. Like I'll talk to a person really like just being me, and then I realize, oh, it's my time to go, and I'll go outside. Like I'll go out past the curtain, and automatically I'm SOS. Because like right when I'm at that curtain, I know it's my time to be SOS and not be outside of SOS. So yeah.
Mhm. Is there anything else that we should know about SOS before I let you go? Any future stuff coming up? Any merchandise out there? Any cool things going on?
Oh, yeah. So um I know, like I said, this Saturday of May 6th, I will be wrestling out in Texas against Eliza Hammer for the first time finally, because we wrestled in a fatal four-way or a five-way, and like we've been trying to advocate for us to wrestle each other. Now it's happening. Next weekend on the 13th, I actually will be in a student showcase for the company I actually train with, Arizona Wrestling Federation. And then after that is the weekend where Friday I will be wrestling out in Georgia on the 19th. The 20th, I will be out in Lubbock, Texas for Square Circle Pro, which actually be my first time on Fight TV. It'll be my
Nice.
first time. I'm actually nervous, but like I know it's gonna be fine because I've been trained for TV, so it's all good. And then after that, I'll be back in Arizona for Tucson, because that's like the birthday weekend, my birthday weekend, because it's the prior one, because my birthday's on the Monday, 22nd. As far as merchandise go, I do have pro wrestling tees for t-shirts. I also have a bunch of merchandise that's available to order actually through, if you email me or message me on my Facebook or Instagram, I can actually send them out. I'm actually starting to do that this month. I was supposed to do it in March, but then I was moving. So I was like, we're gonna have to hold off on that a little bit. So now that we're kind of acquainted, I am able to actually do ship orders for like my keychains and stickers and stuff that I do have as well, besides the t-shirts. Um, and yeah, like my social medias are all pretty much except for my Facebook, Save One Soul, on Instagram and Twitter. My Facebook, you can catch me up on SOS as the Facebook page, or you can find me as SOS as the actual like page where I avidly am on to post and promote myself there. And probably starting next week, I will be streaming on Twitch. My Twitch name is Aaron13. It's spelled AERONN 13. That's where I will be streaming. I stream all games, and sometimes I'll sit there and chat about wrestling, because I know a lot of people for my fans are actually wrestling fans, so they just want to know what I'm up to. Um, and yeah, I think that's it pretty much.
Okay. Well, is there anything else we should know before I let you go?
um, no, just like if you're a person that's thinking about becoming a wrestler, I would say do it. Don't hesitate. Just find a school where like as close to where you're at, check it out. Obviously if it fits in your budget, do it. If not, think about it, save up and do it. It's gonna be hard. I'm just gonna be very honest, and you're gonna feel very impatient because you think you should be up here when everybody else is already up here and you're down here. Just keep doing it. As a person who almost did quit, don't. It's for a good reason. Like you feel like you're plateauing, but that's just because you're almost at the point where you're ready to go. So just keep going, no matter what. So that's pretty much all I want to say, because I know, there are potential people who want to be future wrestlers. So if you want to be a future wrestler, just do it.
I feel like that's great advice in anything, no matter what. We've all got things in the back of our head that we want to do, right?
Yep.
And then the years go by like this. So whether it's wrestling, whether it's streaming, whether it's podcasting, whatever it is that you want to do, I think that's fantastic advice. Give it a shot. Don't let
Yeah, just give
time
it a
pass
shot.
you by, right?
Yeah, because as long as you give it a shot, and say you gave it a shot and it didn't work out, at least you tried. That's my thing. It's like at least you tried, because if you didn't try, you would basically regret it later, because then you'd be like, oh, I should have tried it when this was like, when I had the time to do it.
Perfect. I can't think of better words of wisdom to end this interview on. Well, guys, if you like interviews like this with SOS, go ahead and make sure you're following her on all her social medias. You see her at a show, buy some merch, and hopefully you'll make it down here to Florida
I'm
for
trying.
some shows, right?
I'm trying.
Right, we could do some in-person interviews when you come down here, or we run into each other across the country or something else down the line and talk about what awesome stuff you've done since this interview in May
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm trying to get down to Florida. So
Definitely. There's a lot going on down here. So hopefully you make it down here. But just keep doing what you're doing, keep pushing on. And when you see Gypsy Mac, give her a body slam for me as
okay.
well. So.
Okay, I will.
I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
She will. She totally
Right.
will.
Right. Well, guys, if you like interviews like this with SOS, make sure you stay tuned in here to Tone In Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.